Is there ever really such a thing as a forever server? That's kind of what I was hoping this thing would be. Inside is an AMD EPYC 7402 and a Supermicro H12SSL-i motherboard. It's got 128 PCIe lanes divided up amongst a mixture of 16 and 8 and 4x slots, and it's served my purposes for the last year phenomenally well. One small caveat being that the single thread performance of the 7402 EPYC chip is beginning to feel its age. So like if you run a Windows virtual machine, you will feel the age of that chip. So I was kind of vaguely itching for an upgrade, but I was convincing myself that I didn't really need one and I could put it off for a little while. However, last week I was making a video for work, and I have in here typically an NVIDIA A4000 graphics card. I do a bunch of Olama local LLM stuff with it, and in the video for work I was talking about LLMs, and I thought, wouldn't it be good if I had a prop, if I have a graphics card, if I can just pick the thing up and show it to you. Ironically, that graphics card's actually in the basement right now, not in the server. So what did I do? I pulled the graphics card out of the server, like I've done a million times before, because as you can see behind me, like I love me some PC hardware. I've been building computers since I was about 13, I think. And boy howdy, is that a while ago now. So pull the GPU out, film the bit to camera, show the graphics card, bada bing, bada boom, think, right, I'm going to power the server back on again. I put the graphics card back in and power the server back on. Nothing happened. And so I thought to myself, I got back to my desk up here because, I pressed the power button on the front of the case and it didn't appear up in my Proxmox cluster. And I'm like, where are you? Come on, wake up. So then I tried to log into PyKVM, which is connected up to the VGA output on the back of this system. Nothing showing in PyKVM. And I'm like, I wonder if it's the KVM switch that I've got down there. I've got an 8-port KVM switch plugged into PyKVM. Nope, all my other devices are working just fine. It's just this one. Okay, so what next on my troubleshooting list? I know. I bet you I just forgot to push the power button or something, or the BMC's being kind of weird and not initializing properly. I'll go down to the basement and make sure I've pushed that physical button. So I did, and all the fans came on, and I'm like, oh yeah, I guess maybe I just forgot something or whatever, And then I noticed a blinking LED just down here. It has silkscreen printed on the motherboard, M1 LED, and it was just blinking. And I sort of went through a few different power cycles. At this point, all of the PCIe devices were still populated in the slots. And I'm like, what is going on here? This does not make any sense. So the system's not booting. I've got no VGA output. So I thought, right, let's just remove PyKVM from the equation and hook it up to an actual physical monitor that I have down there. Still no dice. And at this point, I'm like, oh, something might actually be wrong. Turns out that the motherboard in here has, well, I don't want to say a known issue, but I put a link in the description down below to a serve the home thread of lots of people finding on this specific revision of this Supermicro motherboard, the 1.1 revision, there are a bunch of ICs, integrated controllers, that live just underneath the PCIe brackets at the back, where the PCI cards hook in, and sometimes you can physically damage the slot if you're not careful. I've had a good look, with my camera actually. I sort of zoomed in and I've pixel peeked and taken some pictures. I can't find anything wrong, so I'm kind of led to believe that my motherboard was on the way out anyway, and just that one power cycle of leaving it off for 2 or 3 hours whilst I filmed my bit to camera was just enough for everything to thermally contract, or honestly, I don't know what the issue is, but the serve the home thread didn't give me much confidence in the future of this motherboard, sadly. So what's a guy to do at this point? Am I going to live without a server in my house? No, come on, you know me better than that. It's time to go shopping, right? So I sort of thought to myself, right, well, what were some of the issues that I was trying to solve? Single thread performance. That would be nice if I could take a step up there. What about things like making sure I've still got the same number of PCIe lanes so that I can still have all of my, pair of U.2 NVMe SSDs and my 16x divided up into 4 bifurcated M.2 cards, all that kind of stuff. 2 GPUs, that's the kind of thing, an HBA in there. So I thought to myself, I'm going to go and ask AI what to do. How many PCIe lanes do I actually need? And so I sort of listed all the PCIe devices that I have, and it was like, you need somewhere in the region of 70 to 80 PCIe lanes, depending on what's going on. You can run some of the things like graphics cards, not at 16x speed, but at 8x speed, and you won't notice any difference. But the reality is that by the time you're well above that kind of 30 or 40 figure, you're well out of the realm of consumer chips, because I was kind of hoping that I'd be able to go for an AMD 9950X. Indeed, in my gaming ring behind me, I've got a 9800X3D, and it is fast. So I was thinking, well, it would be nice if I could get some of that single thread performance coupled with the multi-core performance that 9950X offered. Unfortunately, that generation of Ryzen has, I think, 24 lanes from the CPU and then another 20 from the chipset, which doesn't get me anywhere near my kind of 70 or 80 lane threshold. So I was thinking, could I live with fewer? And I'm thinking, well, this is a forever server, right? Why don't you just see what else is out there? So I asked Perplexity the question, you know, if my EPYC system has died, what else is out there? I don't really want to pay the price tag of a brand new EPYC system, because the newer generations of EPYC are still $5,000 plus for just the CPU. They're aimed at the data center and people buying entire trays of stuff, not people like me who buy the odd processor every 3 or 4 years. Well, every year now, apparently. So the newer gen EPYC was completely out of the picture. But then AI decided to tell me about Threadripper Pro. So I'm going to push this out of the way because, you know, you're ancient history now. I'm still going to use the Sliger case with the new build, I think. But not to spoil the next video, because I'm actually going to do a build log. I mean, this is going to be a 2-part series. First of all, I'm telling you why I'm upgrading. And then secondly, we'll actually do the build log together and talk about the performance at the end. So what did we end up getting? A Threadripper Pro 5955WX. This is a 16-core part with 32 threads. It is a monster. And I don't want to use the word only when referring to $1,000, but it was only $900. And it was in stock at Micro Center in Charlotte, just down the road. Couldn't quite believe my luck. So I thought to myself, well, I've got a CPU. What about a motherboard? And at that point, Perplexity chucked up this chungus beefcake of a motherboard. This is the Asus Pro WS-WRX 80E Sage SE Wi-Fi 2. Where did people get these names from? Honestly, I ask you. And this thing, this might be the most chungus motherboard I have ever seen in my entire life. It has 7 16x full bandwidth PCIe slots. The chip has 128 PCIe lanes, so I'm well covered there. The downside of this motherboard, I mean, the specs are just ridiculous, and I'll cover that more in the next video. But this thing cost me $1,000. So I kind of had set a budget in my mind of about $2,000 for the entire server build. And then I'm thinking, well, motherboard's $1,000, CPU is approaching that. The RAM? Luckily, this generation of EPYC system, this guy, I can reuse the RAM from in there in here. So that saves me a ton of money in terms of upgrading DDR4 to 5 and making sure that things support ECC. And, you know, I've got ZFS in here. I want to, if I can run ECC, I'm going to. So yeah, this is my new motherboard. And I cannot really explain to you how great of an experience I had at Micro Center. This isn't sponsored. Micro Center have absolutely no idea who I am, and that's fine. But when I went to Micro Center, this is the first time I've ever been. It's about a 2.5-hour drive to Charlotte from where I live in Raleigh, North Carolina. I believe Micro Center opened that location about 6 months ago. I think it was around about the time of Southeast Linux Fest, actually. And let me tell you, if I lived closer to a Micro Center, I think I might be homeless. They have 3D printers, they have computer cases out on the shop floor, they have every cable you could possibly imagine, including stuff like fiber, OM4 fiber, just on the shop floor that you can purchase. So I shot a little vlog, or a kind of walkthrough of going to Micro Center to buy my new components for my new server. So here we go. So I'm about to go into a Micro Center for the very first time. I have heard great things about this shop, but I've never actually been to one before. So time to go inside and see what all the fuss is about. I mean, I should be in pretty good company. They had the Threadripper Pro in stock and a motherboard too in stock. Like, who carries that stuff in stock? Micro Center does, apparently. So I'm preparing to be amazed. At least we'll see if that's how it turns out in reality. All right, here we go. So right away through the door, I get to see products I've only ever seen in YouTube videos before, like a Jackery battery bank, and what's all this stuff? Video conference cameras. Oh my goodness. Just like, how bad are the cables? 10-foot USB-C, $12. Okay. Not too bad. I certainly remember Enquiries and Comet, I suppose even Best Buy to a point these days. $15 for a lightning cable. What's this knowledge bar about? I suppose that's like a repair station? That's pretty cool. Here's the ubiquitous Apple bench, I suppose. Oh God. It's probably good there isn't one of these in Raleigh. A whole wall of different routers and Wi-Fi access points and what have you. A whole bunch of TP links. Oh wow! The Omada stuff in the flesh? That's pretty cool. I used to have one of these like a decade ago. I put OpenWRT on it. My goodness. What else is in here? Netgear switches, a whole ton of networking gear. The Ubiquiti shelf. I must stay away from that one. Wait a minute. Reduced. Gateway Max, what's that? I'll have to look at that. Is that worth having? I don't know. A whole bunch of stuff, really, though. Hello. So just, yeah, a ton of networking. They carry a whole bunch of Ubiquiti access points. And Bamboo Lab 3D printers, like in stock, in the flesh. Are you kidding? I can literally just walk into a shop and buy fiber optic patch cables. That's insane to me. Good quality tools. Okay, this shop is going to be very dangerous to me. Very dangerous. So not only do they have the Bamboo Lab stuff in stock, but they've got like any cubic printers, resin stuff, just out for you to look at. That's awesome. Okay, what's this? Select a chip, scan it, and then pull out the filament. So I think the idea here is that you pick your filament from here. I'm just going to go with this nice translucent orange PETG filament. And I'm going to scan the barcode. And then the screen tells me it's going to rotate. And then I can pick out my filament. And this thing is tall. This goes a long. All right, so I need slot 38, which is lit up by these LEDs. Slot 38. Oh, it does. It exists. It exists there. Fantastic. That's a really innovative way to store 3D printer filament. Oh, protopasta stuff. I've only ever seen this when it comes to like 3D printing nerd on YouTube. Amazing. What else do we have? This whole, oh my goodness. I've only seen this stuff like online. This is the K2, so this is supposed to be like the competitors of the Bamboo Labs, like X1 Carbon, and I suppose the Prusa Core 1. It's massive. What's this do not touch? With a cute little 3D printed sign. Oh, adorable. Okay, I will respect it, I won't touch. But, wow. It just looks like a X1 Carbon that's been put on, enlarged on a photocopier or something. A whole bunch of stuff. Look at this stuff. Like it's out and running in a store for people to see and touch and use, and it's amazing. A laser machine. Oh my God. This store is dangerous. So, you know, just casually walking down the projector aisle. Bunch of Philips Hue stuff. I can order all this stuff on Amazon. Oh my goodness, there's just so much here. Wow. There is something about a shop. Like, I love online shopping, don't get me wrong. But there is something about just looking at a box on a shelf and imagining yourself coming up with a way to use it. What else have we got over here now? Oh, I've heard about this bit. This is where all the computer cases live, and they're all out of their boxes. It's like if you're buying a new computer case, it's obviously pretty standard to just watch a ton of YouTube videos, but nothing quite prepares you for the physical sizes of the things and like how they look. Oh, is that the Fractal North? Yeah, the Fractal North XL. That is actually beautiful in person. I've never bought a white computer case, but maybe I will? Good Lord. So they've got all the Fractal stuff. Okay, here's my next PC case. What is this monstrosity? Yeah. No way. God, some of these are flipping huge. Returns and all sorts, just out for you to look at. O11D tempered glass, that's nice. Oh, this is everything I wished that, like, when I was a kid, PC World in the UK was. Currys or Comet or whatever. Like, I could just walk into a shop and buy a 4U ATX server chassis. Are you kidding? Sorry, I've got to wind down my incredulation a little bit, but just the fact that this shop exists and all this stuff is out and I can touch it and play with it. And the people at Lian Li, this is the O11D tempered glass, blah, 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 RGB, right? Look at this thing. Looks like Tron, but the product people at Lian Li know their target audience. Look at that. Like a proper full high-res display in the middle of a PC fan. Isn't that fantastic? I've never seen anything like that in the flesh before. Very cool. Get a good feel for what it looks like in 3D space. Like, it's actually amazing. What else have we got down here? A whole aisle of power supplies. There's all the Corsair ones. There's some nice branding. You know, wall of yellow. What else have we got? The Acer store. 4-bay hot swap NAS. Okay. Now we're talking. An all flash-based NAS with 2.5 gig Ethernet and some more power supplies over here. God, the marketing on these boxes, it's just wasted online when you see it in person. I literally think there should be a micro center in everyone's garage. This store is amazing. you fancy purchasing some Noctua, you can walk into a shop and buy Noctua fans. I'm a Noctua fanboy. Okay, fanboy. AIOs, anybody? Mechanical keyboards. Okay, you kind of expect that stuff. Like, that's not too impressive. But like all the different, like Lian Li 360 AIO coolers and motherboards out over here. I suppose it makes sense, right? But they've got a whole water cooling aisle here, and you can buy stuff to build a custom loop, which I've never done. Always thought about doing it, but then I price up the fixings and realise I could buy half another computer for the same price. All the CPUs, hard drives, M.2 NVMe SSDs behind me, RAM, graphics cards. What's the sort of stock situation at the minute? I assume that's where the 50 series could and should be. Interesting. VR stuff like Meta Quest. That's fun. What have we got down here? This looks like it might be the AMD aisle. Team Red, you know. Radeon graphics cards, okay. Nice. Oh, this is pornography for teenage me. Absolutely ridiculous. Thank you. Well, this is dangerous. Where else? What other? Tell me in the comments. What other shop can you go into in the world and look at mozza, like mozzarella, I suppose? Racing steering wheels, and actually put your hands on the things and touch them and listen to the clicky. Oh, that's beautiful. That is lovely. And then try it out, presumably. Because they've got gaming rigs just sat here behind these sim rigs. And sorry for the speedy pan there, but Sim Magic racing controls and this is a flight sim, huh? Okay, cool. Racing's where it's at, though. We all know that. And then a bunch of gamer chairs if you don't value your back and posture. But yeah, that's my first impressions of Micro Center. Oh, that is a glorious coiled cable. It really is. I need one of those, actually. I bought a mechanical keyboard a few weeks ago. I'm just using the stock boring cable that came with it. I think I might be adding something to my shopping list. Don't tell the wife. So there we go. That's Micro Center. It's absolutely blowing my little pea-sized brain that this kind of store pays for itself. Doesn't seem very busy right now. I don't know if that's just because it's like 7 p.m. on a Saturday night or something. But hopefully they expand beyond Charlotte and all the other places they've got. Now, I imagine the expensive part of doing business in for a company to expand is moving into a new state, because you've got to set up a whole bunch of like legal entities and all that stuff. So here's hoping they come to Raleigh, because this store rocks. All right, time to go and try and find the 5955WX Threadripper Pro. I pre-ordered it. It's at the front desk. And the Sage motherboard, the WRX80 Threadripper Pro motherboard that I ordered. And then I still need to pick out a new power supply, because my current one is only 800 watts, which for the Threadripper Pro might be pushing it. So I think I'm going to step up to 1,000-ish. But I'm going to go and have a look at those now. Help me, I don't know which power supply to pick. All the Seasonic stuff is here. wall of Corsair over here, which I'm sure is fine, but I'm a creature of habit and I like the Seasonic stuff. So there's the Vertex PX1000, which is platinum for 250. I think gold's probably fine, honestly, efficiency wise. So GX1000 is 175, okay. And then if I was to step it up to baller territory, you've got the Titanium 1300 at 460. So that's the spread I've got. In the middle, I'm tempted by this like 1200 at 229 because that's reduced to 215. So it's the GX 1200 versus the 1000. I think I just get the 1200, right? In case I stick an extra big fat AI GPU in there or something. I'm now officially a Micro Center fanboy. Got myself the Asus Pro motherboard with the unpronounceable name. I got myself a Threadripper Pro. Here we go. I also picked up the, I went for the 1200 watt power supply in the end, just because. And then the very nice sales associate decided to sell me a copy. No, he didn't sell me. Stephen, if you're watching, and I know you are, thanks for sending me this. Didn't pick this up at Micro Center, but this is going to be my new operating system. Microsoft Windows XP Professional. I think it's going to be a huge hit, don't you? Stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, all that kind of good stuff for part 2, where I start putting these parts together inside the Sligo CX4712. Until next time, thank you so much for watching. I've been Alex from KTZ Systems.